Real Talk with Jodi and Michal. Real friends, real situations, real life. Authentic chats from the heart to the gut. Two best friends keeping it raw, real, and relatable.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Jodi and Michal. I'm Michal Offer, functional nutrition consultant, and I am here with one of my oldest and dearest friends, Jodi Greenblatt. She is the founder of Empower Her Relationship Coaching. And Jodi, it's great to see you again.
Oh, Michal, always such a lovely introduction. It's always amazing to see you. Oh, yes, I'm Jodi Greenblatt. Good to see everybody. And I'm a relationship and empowerment coach for women who are ready to break free from toxic relationships.
Fantastic. And we always thought that our subjects were so different from each other, and they're different and similar because they tend to impact each other in great and wonderful ways. And I didn't want to talk too much about what's going on in life today because we have such a big topic to discuss. And I know our last conversation, we ended talking about moderation and we teased about having a conversation with that. And I think we can bring in some of our week into our discussion today, but I thought we would just jump right in because this thing, everything in moderation, right? Even moderation. It's such a cliche. And me personally, I don't like to use the word hate a lot, but I hate the word moderation. Tell me
You're
your,
going to have to tell us more about that, Michal. What is that about?
because it means nothing. It tells you nothing. What is moderation? A little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's great. How much is a little bit? How much is this and that? How often is a little bit? Is it a little bit every day? Is it a little bit every week? Is it a little bit every month? Is it once in a lifetime? Right? And who determines that? And who's the boss of that? And if you are the boss of your own moderation, then
Mhm.
who's to say that that's really going to be the most beneficial thing for you? Are you really able to moderate things? Are you, how do we know? It's this term that we bandy around as this ideal thing that nobody can define and means something different to everybody, and we can manipulate it to suit our needs. And I don't like it.
I mean, I would be tempted to say, isn't it different then for different people and for different things, depending
You
on
get to
what it
decide.
is? Maybe we all get to decide it for ourselves.
But
No?
then moderation is nothing because what you
Um,
define as moderation, it would be different from what I define as moderation.
okay. Then it's not a thing. If we're going to all do moderation our own way, then moderation isn't a thing. It's just we all doing it our own way. I hear you.
And if it's a thing, who gets to decide? Who is
Mm.
the big boss of moderation for whatever it might be? Who's the boss? Do we have the nutrition police? Do we have the relationship police? Do we have the text message police? Now, we're all aware of what too much is, and we
Mhm.
might all be aware of what too little is.
Mhm.
But that perfect balance, I think, is a lot more of a gray area.
Well, when you say it like that, now you're bringing in the concept of perfect. Perfect balance. Now, obviously, I imagine you would agree that perfect is also doesn't exist. We can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect. We can't get the perfect situation. Even relationships, I might go as far as to say we can't. We might have a relationship that we think is perfect for us. We might use that word. We might think this is a great relationship. But perfect would mean without any flaws, and that's not going to happen.
Sure, and but taking it back a couple of steps from that, right? I think somebody in the throes of excess, depending on the excess,
Hmm.
will find ways to justify their excess as the right balance. So, as an example,
Hmm.
I often hear people tell me morning, noon, and night. Couple of examples. I don't eat a lot of sugar. I don't eat sweets and chocolate.
Hmm.
Do you have oatmeal for breakfast every morning and toast and maybe some orange juice? Yes. Well, then you're eating a lot of sugar. No, no, because it's not sweet, right?
Mm.
but it is. And although we know somewhere, or when you try and explain it, there's still the justification for that. Or I only eat natural sugar, so it's fine. Well, how much fruit do you eat? I
Mm-hmm.
eat fruit at every meal. It's a lot of sugar, right? And I hear that a lot. Or I'm sure you hear, I don't text him that much, just like 12 times a day.
Yep, yep. And you got to
But
ask how much.
that's a little much. Well, I'm just checking in, or I just had this thought, or I had that thought, and I wanted to see what he thought of this and what he thought of that, really justifying the excess as being balanced. And this is the whole moderation thing that drives me crazy, because we use it to justify our excesses or our lack of, or our or our
Do you think any of it is coming from in your arena in nutrition? Is it coming from not knowing? Is it coming from not knowing how much sugar oatmeal or fruits have?
yes and no, sometimes, but often no, because I think it has now become a little more well known that starches can be as problematic as sugars,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody knows that a croissant isn't your best choice to choose, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be that much better than a chocolate bar or a piece of chocolate cake or a chocolate, right? So, but it was a whole grain croissant, so it's better. Like we find ways,
I'm laughing because I think I might say that.
yeah, we find ways to justify, and it's not. And even when I explain that, it's not, no, no, that can't be. Well, I still don't eat a lot. You're right. I only have it every day. Well, maybe every day is too much for you, not for
How do
you.
we decide then?
Well, we
And
can
does
decide.
that mean we can never have those yummy things?
Well, when it comes to food, there's a whole bunch of things that we need to decide. Number one, what are your goals?
Hmm.
Right? What are you struggling with? What are your challenges? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to use a very extreme example, but an alcoholic, what's a moderate amount of drinking for somebody who's severely alcoholic?
Mhm.
Right? There is no moderate amount of drinking. Well, abstinence is terrible. We should never abstain from anything. And
Mhm.
alcoholism is an extreme example, but what
Mhm.
if a particular food is really detrimental to you? Maybe not in a way that you can notice immediately, but in a way, with long-term effects. Is there a moderate amount of that food that you can have? And our food supply has been so manipulated to be hyper palatable and to hyper stimulate us and to actually drive addictive mimicking behaviors that we're no longer able to effectively moderate a lot of these products. And number one, are they really food? Do they provide nutrition, or is it simply entertainment? I think you've heard me say Netflix for your tongue, right? Entertainment for your mouth. So is it food? And is the momentary pleasure that it provides more important to you, or more important than the long-term health risks? Is the momentary pleasure of that one shot of tequila, right, more important than the downward spiral that it could lead you on as the alcoholic? And it's the same thing. And I'm sure you find it with relationships, that sometimes we need to cut ties, right? There isn't a little bit of contact that you can have with somebody if that contact is going to lead to something detrimental in the long term. So
So,
this is where moderation again. So
yeah,
is the moderate amount of that zero? Is that moderate?
I think also the key word is like sometimes, sometimes, and again, I'll speak, since you brought up the relationships and no contact, I will say sometimes no contact might be appropriate. I'm not going to say always. Always, there might be other solutions as well. And in my field, there is controversy around the example you gave about alcohol use. There is controversy around, is it all or nothing? Or is it better to reduce harm and have somebody at least drinking less rather than drinking to the extent that they do and creating the level of problems in their life from drinking as much as they do? And it is controversial.
It's the same with food, absolutely.
Mhm.
But who's to decide what is that appropriate less amount? What is less? Is less one drink less? Is less 10 drinks less? Is less a bottle of vodka less? What is less? You
So
still
does it need to be nothing? Does it need to be,
what I'm saying is the concept of moderation, even in that situation,
yeah.
is is misguided because
Mm.
who decides, right? If it's harm reduction, then it's
Mhm.
the amount that reduces some harm,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And that's
Relative to
going to be
that
different,
person.
going to be different from you as an alcoholic to me
Correct,
as an
correct,
alcoholic.
correct.
So
Relative to
that,
that person.
right. So then to say moderation, right? And again, I'm drinking moderately is an
Mm.
excuse to say, I'm drinking 2 bottles of tequila a day instead of three,
Mm.
where I'm still, and I'm sorry, and I don't mean this in an offensive way. I'm just using it as an extreme example. But drinking 2 bottles of tequila, I don't think is reducing that much harm from three. To be, if we're going to be very
Mm.
honest with each other, it's probably not. The damage is being done well after half, well
Mm-hmm.
after 2 drinks, well
Mm-hmm.
after 3 drinks, if we're looking at the science and the research. And it's the same with food. It's the same with things that drive our dopamine response. So anything that is providing that reward response for the body, it's very, very difficult for me to determine what is appropriate for you. And even more so, well, actually, it's easy for me to determine what's appropriate for you. Determining stuff for other people is simple. But for me to determine what is appropriate for me,
Yeah.
right, is hard because we're driven by that addiction to dopamine. So even sitting on what is a moderate amount of sitting on your phone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? What
Yeah,
what
that's
is the moderate amount of that?
right. There's more questions really than answers on that. Well, what are you doing on your phone? How much time is it?
Yeah.
Wh-
What's the impact on the rest of your day? What's the impact on
Mhm.
the rest of your life?
Mhm.
My husband and I, our thing together is going, we like to go out for dinner together. He works away, he's not home a lot. When we're here, he likes to take me out for dinner. He likes to sit in a restaurant. He likes us to be served. There's
Mhm.
it's our thing.
Nice.
So, and we have a rule always, be it dinner at home or dinner out,
Mhm.
there are no phones at dinner. It's
Mhm.
there is no moderate amount of phone usage at the dinner table.
In that situation. So yeah, for that
Any situation.
scenario.
But we look around and
Yeah.
everybody's on their phones
Yes.
the
Yeah.
entire time.
Mhm.
And it's so sad because nobody is that's the impact that it has on
Mhm.
your life and on
Mhm.
your quality of life, right? So it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Mhm.
So how do you determine, and who determines? Should I look at my phone once through dinner? Is that moderate phone usage? Right? Is looking at my phone once or twice through dinner better than looking at my phone not at all? Well, if that's taking away from me being present, is that even, and the point of having, part of the point of eating together is being present,
Mhm.
having food together. Is that even that once or twice, taking away a little bit from something that could be a special moment? And then just once or twice, is the slope is slippery. Does it lead to three or four?
And
Or
that's
just this
different for
once? Just
and
once.
is that different for different people? Maybe some people that just once, depending on, again, it all depends what that one time was, depending on what's okay for the two of you, depending on how much what it is, the purpose of the dinner together, what you want to get out of it. Everything depends.
And I would actually say the purpose of the dinner together should never be a depends, because when you learn about nutrition and you learn how to fuel your body,
Mhm.
so food is fuel first and foremost, but food is also connection, and food is community.
100%.
So if
Yeah.
you are sitting at the dinner table, there
Yeah.
is no reason to not experience connection and community. That is the point of eating together. That is why humans eat together. We don't eat together to shovel slop down our throats and look at a phone, right? Where you are not aware of what you're eating, your hunger and your satiety hormones are not properly stimulated, your digestive system isn't working properly, and you're not getting any of the benefits of sitting and eating with somebody. So from my perspective, no. Even when you're eating alone, I don't believe it's the best. It's the best
Oh, yeah. I think even eating
because
alone,
of
if
all
you're
of those
watching TV or
things.
you're on the phone, I don't know if you're really taking in that you're eating. I don't know
That's
if you're
that's
enjoying what you're eating. I don't know if you're, I feel like sometimes what can happen is you look at the plate and the food's gone. You don't even remember that you were eating. And I wonder what that does to the brain. Do you not register that you're full?
what happens to that bowl of popcorn at the movies.
Oh, 100%, right? That's a perfect example.
It's because we're not present.
Yeah.
And anyway, but we're getting a little bit off the topic of moderation here.
I'm going to jump in.
So again, defining moderation, and even policing, for lack of a better word, or monitoring our moderation is incredibly challenging, right? And then who does that? And then if we are no longer moderate to what we decided we were moderate, we set a new bar, be it higher or lower. And I'm sure if you're looking at relationships, and sometimes the behavior that we go through, especially when a relationship is unraveling and we're confused, how do you counsel somebody to behave moderately?
I got to tell you, the nature of what I do is looking at the whole picture objectively and all perspectives. And um, it's kind of looking at what is best for the person, or what is best for the relationship, or what is best for both people in the relationship. So there's no one way. But I think that's really something about life as well. I think when we are being our authentic selves and we're navigating life, if we're doing life our way, caveat being not hurting anybody else, if we're doing life our way, then there is no right way to do things. And I don't know if you see that as the same as equivalent of saying there is no moderation there. For me, I would say there is no right way. As long as it's okay for you, you're living the life the way you want, you're getting what your needs met, what you desire, what makes you fulfilled, and in partnership that both of you are getting that and navigating that together, deciding together how you want it to be.
Well, that's exactly why moderation is ridiculous, right? It's so, if you look at people who engage in destructive behavior, they often use some type of justification of moderation to feel that the behavior is okay, right? I only have casual sex once in a while. I only, what's once in a while, and why is once in a while okay and every day not okay, right? If you had determined that casual sex is destructive
That's
to
what I was
your,
going to say, because
if you
that
had
in and of
determined that
itself
casual
is a
sex
decision for
is,
everyone to make for
yeah, sure, but
themselves.
if you've decided that casual sex is not the best thing for your self-esteem, um,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't do it often, right? Like
So
you,
I'm going to give the example of someone who decides that casual sex is not best for their self-esteem. They don't want to do it, but for some reason, something comes up. This time, it's something they've thought through. They've decided it fits their values. They want to have casual sex. that it
But
is
but
something they want.
then we're dealing with the repercussions of that as well. So I'll even use food as an example, right? So, a certain type of food makes you feel really physically nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Having it has severe consequences for the next day, but it's absolutely delicious. And your brain absolutely loves this food.
Would having a teaspoon of it still cause, what did you say? Like, let's say, stomach upset
Yeah.
in this scenario?
So again, is having a teaspoon of it. And I'm going to use a different analogy for that in a little bit. But is having a teaspoon of it going to lead to you wanting to have more teaspoons of it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Right? And
mm-hmm,
then is having it really going to be worth it? And in the moment, you might say yes,
mm-hmm.
but afterwards you will say no. And then you'll say, well, everything in moderation. I should be able to have a little bit of it. Even if it makes me feel terrible, I'll just deal with that. Well, but then your goal is to feel healthy and strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's not helping you.
Mm-hmm.
That.
So you're saying your goal has to be taken into account as well.
Of course.
Your goals, I would call it your values, what's important to you, where you're going on your path needs to be
and
taken into
and I
account.
think people say a lot of what they think they should do or
Mm-hmm.
what they think they want other people to do, but not really what they want. And in my business, when people are telling me, and I'm going to use weight loss as an example, that that I want to be I want to fit into a certain size that I fit into of jeans that I fit into 5 years ago. And I know that I've picked up a bunch of weight, went through COVID, all of that, picked up a bunch of weight. I really want to fit into that. And but I believe that you should be able to have everything in moderation, and I'm not going to give up this, and this. But giving up or severely reducing to almost nothing, this, and this, is going to get you to your goal. And not giving it up is going to make it very challenging for you to get to your goal. Yeah, well, I'm not prepared to give it up. Well, then
Mm-hmm.
do you really want that goal?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a question to always ask. Oh, yes, I do. And people get mad and they get really defensive about it. And it's something that I've learned to navigate. But you might you have to go through all the reasons of why, and why is it so important to you to fit into your jeans, right? Is it simply because you want your friends to tell you that you look good and skinny? Or is it because you were much healthier or happier at that size, and that's what you're um, oh, you felt a lot more self-confidence, and the self-confidence allowed you to be better at business, or to be better at relationships, or to be better at having a physical relationship with your partner, or
So now you're
whatever.
talking about your motivation
Right.
for doing something and then leaving that to fulfill your goal.
But people struggle with it,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 many people have lost touch with that. And because we live in a society of such instant gratification, the work that needs to be put in to get somewhere, right? The challenge of getting somewhere, no matter what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and the fear of change, right? Because humans avoid change with every single ounce of their being, really sabotages us and allows us to look for justifications to continue the behavior that is most comfortable or most self-serving in the moment, not necessarily in the big picture. So I don't want to give up this, or this is giving this, and this up is hard. We don't do hard in our society anymore, right? We don't experience harshness in climate. We don't experience harshness. For most of us, we're very, very privileged. No matter
Mm-hmm.
what we're told about privilege and not privilege, we don't experience food shortages where we have to go hunting for food, right? We don't experience shelter privileges where we're exposed to the elements, most of us, especially anybody listening here, right?
Mhm.
We don't experience hardship, right? So anything hard is avoided. So we don't. And then on top of that, we have so much misguided advice on how to continue to live an easy life. And moderation is the excuse that we use to not undergo a challenge to grow and transform and develop and get somewhere other than we are right now when where we are right now is not fulfilling us. Does that make sense?
Have you found that people who have come for a nutrition assistance or nutrition
Yeah.
plan who have been doing things moderately have had any success?
Then why are they
According-
coming to me?
Mm, yeah.
So the interesting thing is people come to me because whatever they've done up to this point isn't
Yeah,
working.
hasn't worked.
Or
True,
they're
true.
struggling with something that they don't have the knowledge or the skills to deal with. And
Mm-hmm.
then at the same time want me to tell them that everything that they're doing is fine and they don't need to change anything. And simply
Yes.
by coming to see me, they're going to get the results that they want.
Change is hard. Change is
Change is
hard for
hard.
people.
And
Mm-hmm.
and moderation is our excuse not to change.
Mm.
Again,
Yeah. So
why?
how do you help people, or what do you tell people? What do you find helpful? What do people find helpful?
So in my world, I try and explain to people that when we are reaching a goal or when we are healing, which is reaching a goal, we
Mm-hmm.
need to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
Once we've reached our goal, so we need to focus on food as literally as your medication, right? Instead of taking a pill or injecting a weight loss drug, you're on you're manipulating your food and your fuel in a good way. This isn't manipulation as a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have reached your goal, then we can start to look at some of the other aspects of food, be it pleasure and entertainment, be it a true connection and community. So, literally breaking bread. But
Mm-hmm.
focusing on those things which are important with food, but secondary
Uh-huh.
while we are trying to heal or
Uh-huh.
reach a goal is
Okay.
only going to thwart you reaching your goal to some degree, maybe quicker, maybe ever, and you're going to be frustrated. And then you're going to blame the process as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to looking within and saying, you know what, I'm not in a place right now where I can do all of this work. So I need to understand, I need to modify my goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine too, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
Mm-hmm.
you can't have both. And I
Does this mean being more what's the word? More strict about adhering to a plan in the beginning until you reach your goal, and then you can add things?
maybe. So generally, what made you fat once will make you fat again. What made you diabetic once will make you diabetic again, right? What triggers your autoimmune condition is going to trigger your autoimmune condition. There's no getting over that, right?
Okay.
There isn't. People do have a personal threshold, like the alcoholic with the alcohol,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes your personal threshold is zero, and
Mhm.
sometimes your personal threshold is more than zero. Now, the only way you can honestly determine what your personal threshold is establish a foundation and a baseline where this is good. I'm happy here right now. I'm at a weight that I can maintain relatively effortlessly, right? I'm in a health space that I can maintain relatively effortlessly. If I'm taking any medications, I'm on the minimum effective dose. I understand that this is where I'm at, and I'm comfortable. There is nothing about this that I would I mean, if I could never take a medication, sure, but if it's necessary, I'm quite happy here. Then we can start playing around and saying, does adding something impact that? How does it impact that? What does it do? So if having birthday cake on your birthday is fine and it doesn't cause 3 months of a flare up that you can't get rid of. It doesn't trigger sugar cravings that drive you insane. It
Mhm.
doesn't lead to a 2 week binge of shoving everything down your throat.
Yeah.
And there's strategies that we learn around eating those types of things. Maybe
Okay.
having a piece of birthday cake is perfectly fine for you, right?
Is that
Maybe
moderation then? What does that mean?
not. So maybe having dessert once a week, though, maybe that doesn't work, which is again
Mm.
the whole cheat day moderation cheat day thing. Maybe that sets me back. So I'm having a dessert every Saturday night, and then Sunday I feel awful and my sugar cravings are out of control. And sometimes Sunday becomes a whole day of a debauchery, and then it takes me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to recover, and then Thursday, Friday I'm back on track, and then Saturday I start the cycle all over again. But I'm only having a moderate amount. Well, that's not your moderate amount, right? And that doesn't work. So we need to find your what keeps you in that place of being good and comfortable and relatively effortless,
Mm-hmm.
and still allow yourself some pleasure and some connection and those types of things. And
Yeah.
finding that balance is very difficult in general, and finding
Mm.
that balance in our society
Yeah.
where the food pushing is insane, where the alcohol pushing is insane,
Tell
right?
me more about why it's hard to find that balance. Like, give me like
Because
examples of what you're saying.
these foods are very addictive, and they're manufactured to be that way, right? And the human body has a drive for sugar. We learned this, we evolved that way because in days gone by, sugary foods and starchy foods were generally available in the late summer. And
Mm.
what happens after late summer? We have fall and winter. And
Mm.
fall and winter is when food is very scarce,
Uh-huh.
really. So
Yeah.
we have this drive, same as squirrels, right? We
Huh.
have this drive
To
to
store.
eat all the sweet stuff
Yeah.
so that we can store
Store.
energy, so
Mm-hmm.
that when energy is scarce,
Mm.
we have reserves.
Mm.
So
So
for
we've moved
those,
away from the purpose of food. Food, where you describe about um, summer foods being sweet, and then really the purpose being to store for the hibernation during winter. You're talking about where food was for a purpose, and we don't have it like, and that ties into your point about the amount of hardships that we have today. Again, in terms of who might be
we have no
listening.
food winter. No food winter. You can get grapes 24/7, 365,
Mm.
right? And I don't know if you remember, even when we were growing up in South Africa, especially in South Africa, because of politically there were so many boycotts, and it was when importing and exporting fruits and veg wasn't as popular as now. Grapes were around, like the best grapes were around in February. And the guys would sell them on the corner in those big trucks in the
I
fruit
don't
truck,
remember the
in the
month
fruit
that they
truck.
were available.
But I do because I love them so much,
Hmm.
right? But that was late summer.
Mm.
And they're super sweet, and that was that. So in our current food environment, simply moderating even real food can be difficult, let
Mhm.
alone all these other foods, which are so much more tasty than anything you could ever find naturally. They're made to be that way, right? If you think about a bag of potato chips, every
Mhm.
single chip is slightly differently flavored, and they're all got different amounts of crunch. Some are crunchy and some are less crunchy. And we think that's by accident. No, no, it's by design, because
Oh
that
my gosh.
that actually encourages you to eat more. And
Oh my gosh, because you're seeking that
oh,
variation and that excitement and that,
yes,
oh
it's
my
this consistent
goodness.
and constant dopamine stimulation. So trying to create a concept like moderation is stupid. I was making a video for my clients the other day, and you get those little snack size potato chips or
Yeah,
popcorn, or
yeah. Oh,
it's
that's tiny.
just one bag of that. You can't. You have
No,
one
you
bag, you
cannot.
want another bag.
Never. Yeah.
That's simply what you want. It makes you hungrier. It actually triggers appetite. And then another thing that science has recently found is that when we start to have dysregulation in our hormones, so not simply our reproductive hormones, but all of our chemical messengers, which leads to a lot more dysregulation in our weight, we have a huge amount of dysregulation in our appetite control centers. And foods that are supposed to stimulate satiety hormones. A big one of them, so popular right now, is Ozempic, the GLP-1 agonists, right, which are supposed to suppress appetite,
Mhm.
right? In a balanced human being, somebody who's at their goal weight and has a good amount of body fat percentage, right? Their appropriate amount of body fat percentage, their GLP-1, which is one of the strongest, one of the really strong appetite, like satiety stimulators, it makes you feel full, along with a few other things, is more stimulated than somebody who is overweight or who has a dysregulated fat mass, because your hormones are dysregulated from that. And then your satiety stimulating hormones aren't triggered the same way. So you eat even more, which dysregulates your hormones and causes even more fat storage.
Mhm.
So is having a little bit of those foods helpful to you?
Yeah,
No.
this is a case for all. When people say, I can't have one slice, I can't have one block of chocolate because I'll eat the whole thing, that makes a case for that, where just don't even eat it to begin with. Is it really worth having it to begin with? And I must be honest, I have to do that. I have to just not begin eating something sometimes.
Because you can't, because moderation is not it's not a sane concept. So did I ever give you my peeing analogy?
I don't think so.
Okay, so one of the people that I've learned so much from, Dr. Jason Fung, he has an analogy about moderation, and
Okay.
especially as women will understand this.
Mhm.
You're
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I
I
know what
have,
you're going to
right? Where you're going for the uterine ultrasound and you have to drink a lot and your bladder is super full and you really need to pee and you're holding it in and it's not easy, but you're holding it in. And then the technician says, I need you to pee out just a little bit.
anytime you have a full bladder, once you let out a little bit, it's really hard to
Right.
control,
So
to
you have a
stop it.
craving. You have an intense craving. I really want chocolate. I really want chocolate. I really want chocolate. For most people, not everybody, but for most people, if you have just a little bit of chocolate,
Mhm.
you're screwed. You're going to
Yeah.
want more and more and more, and it's
What do
going to
you
be
do
harder
when
and
you have
harder.
a craving? Okay, so you have a craving, and it's one of those things where I put it off and I put it off, but it's there for like 3 days, and I have to eventually do it to get it done. I have to have the craving to get it out my system because if it lasts like 2 days, 3 days, I know I just have to have it.
Well, number one, we look at what are you craving, and there's generally when we're craving something, there's some type of nutrient deficiency. It could be a calorie deficiency, it could be a protein
Can it
deficiency,
be a chocolate deficiency?
often a magnesium deficiency.
What is it?
Chocolate is often a
A
magnesium,
magnesium deficiency.
or we're just craving sugar, and we're
Mm.
and chocolate is your sugar of choice. But chocolate
Hmm.
is often a magnesium deficiency.
Interesting.
And generally, if you up your animal protein, it can help with a lot of cravings. And also, there are some other tactics that you can
Mhm.
implement. But consistently obsessing about the craving isn't going to help the craving, right? Doing something else often does, or making the focus into something else often
Mhm.
does, or saying, all right, this is what I'm craving.
Mhm.
Learning what does it mean. Often when we have and sometimes it's simply the addiction and you need to ride it out. right?
Mm.
Like if the heroin addict is craving heroin, what are you going to say? Give in to your craving?
Mhm.
Have just a little bit? Just do it this once to get rid of the craving and then start
Mhm.
over.
Gonna happen
And you,
again. So what you're saying, you have to find the root of it, deal with it on the root of it. And you talk about protein, and I will say I have experienced that. Increasing my protein, having a lot more of the main part of the meal makes me fuller longer and does reduce my need it doesn't seem logical, but I have experienced it. It does reduce my need to have dessert or to have a craving. It's
my
almost as
clients
if
know,
my body needed more food, actually. It didn't need
well,
the sugary thing, it needed more food.
it needed more amino acids and if you're choosing animal proteins are some of the richest sources of vitamins and minerals that we can eat. It's not your fruit and veg, it's your animal proteins. And when your body is nutritionally complete, it's not going to tell you that you're hungry.
Mm.
It's true hunger is a sign of I need nutrients
Oh,
or I don't know how to access my stored calories.
what does that mean? I don't know how to access my stored calorie.
Well, you have lots of stored calories on your body. Even
Wow.
even people who are slim have a lot of stored energy on their body. It's called fat. That's what it's there for. It's
Why would your body not know how to access it?
because we're eating, if I'm constantly giving you money, and some of the money you put in your bank account and some of the money you spend, and there's
Mhm.
always lots of money, and all of a sudden I stop giving you money, you don't want to use your bank account. You're like looking at me going, where's my money?
So your body doesn't want to use that stored
It,
fat.
and it often doesn't know how. The body's very efficient. So if your body isn't good at fat, at utilizing fat for energy, it's going to have a really difficult time accessing your fat for energy. So
If
we need,
it's not used to doing it.
if it hasn't done it, and most of us haven't done it since we were babies, because the minute you start eating rice cereal, and we're getting into a totally different conversation here, but your diet is overly high in carbohydrate. And I'm choosing my words very carefully here. Overly high in carbohydrate. Our modern diets encourage us to eat more carbohydrate
Mm-hmm.
than we need.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
So, yes, so that we don't get off topic because there's so many more questions here. Is there something more you want to say about moderation before we end for today?
I'm hoping that I've convinced people that moderation is dumb. Yes,
I
very,
would
very
love to
hard
hear in the comments below. What do people
about the
think
whole
about
thing,
moderation?
right? And that all it is, and you've said it as well, is finding your personal threshold,
Mm-hmm.
right? And saying I'm eating everything moderately according to whom? If it's
Mm-hmm.
according to you,
Mm-hmm.
then that's your personal threshold. That has nothing to do with because then moderation becomes a subjective thing,
It's
and
not
then
moderation anymore,
and then
you're
it's not,
saying.
and
You're
then it's
saying
not.
you're saying you're just eating according to what works for you. That doesn't mean moderation. You mean you have found a balance. You have found the right amount for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you need to put a label to that and you choose to put the label moderate, I will argue with you because I'm very judgmental about
I
it's
can see that. I can see the way
I
you've
don't
talked
mind.
about the subject, Michal.
I don't find that it is supportive or helpful
Yeah.
of achieving a goal and living into the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what I tell people is moderation is going to lead to moderate behavior and it's going to give you moderate results.
Interesting.
And I don't want moderation. I don't want to be moderate. I want to be exceptional. And I'm willing to bet everybody wants to be exceptional, right?
Be the best that you can. Do things,
Yeah, that's it.
eat as healthily as you can. So look at it individualized according to what is good for you.
Yeah,
That's the
that's it.
takeaway.
That's it. That's it.
Mhm. Which is I think that is good advice always in life. Do what's good for you.
Right.
You know,
And good for you in a way that supports you living a good life.
a healthy life. We
A,
can, yeah.
a good life, right?
Mhm.
So those would
Mhm.
be our final thoughts.
That
And
sounds like your soapbox, Michal. You might have others, but that sounds like one of your soapbox.
it's one of them. I have a few that I hop between. Um, I'm sure we'll learn about them together, as we will about yours. So comments are welcome. I'm going to enjoy the conversations that we have about this one. Share this podcast with anybody who you think might find it entertaining, or interesting. And that's the best way for us to get the word out. And let us know what else you'd like us to talk about,
That
because
would be amazing. Yeah, we'd love to hear
we're
that.
always open to that. So until next time, right?
All right. Bye, everyone. Nice to see you, Michal.
Likewise, my friend.